Welcome to Horror Franchise Wednesday, or more like Action Horror Franchise Wednesday. The series is much more action than horror. Uh, this movie is very similar to Escape from New York. I thought that as I was watching it, we got this guy trying to protect the president or someone running for president. He's going around the city with her, trying to protect her. Very similar. So, uh, yeah, this one, all these movies on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes are very equally liked and not liked. It seems like they're like all in the 50% range and around 6 on IMDb, so they're all equally matched with each other. But when you talk to the horror community, it seems like horror fans like this one the least, it seems. And I feel like it has something to do with certain characters in this movie. But yeah, it seems like when I see rankings, it's always part two's the best, and then the worst one is either the original or this one. This one's my favorite so far. This was my first time watch. I had only seen the first two movies before starting this review series, and as of this recording, I have still not watched the fourth movie yet. But as of now, this one's my favorite. So, yeah, I'm in the minority, I guess. And I don't do that shit on purpose. There's plenty of franchises where I like the movie that everybody likes. You know, like Friday the 13th Part 4. Everybody likes that one. So, in Child's Play 2, everyone likes the second one. I don't do this shit on purpose, alright? I like what I like. This one actually worked for me. I was never bored watching it. It was much more my style. So, let's get into it. What do I like about Purge 3, aka Election Year? Because this franchise does not like numbers. So, Election Year. This one brings back Frank Grillo, the actor playing this character. I think his name is Leo. He's like an agent. He's a bodyguard, I guess, for politicians. And he's working for this politician who's running for president to put an end to the purge. So I like this story they got set up here. It's very, the plot is very like old school 80s and 90s action movies where it's like we gotta protect this special person, and it plays out like an old school action movies. Got some action movie tropes and stuff in it, and I really like this score in this movie, just like in part two. This is a different composer, I think. It had a different sound completely. They didn't bring back like the siren sound in the score that was in part two, but I think this is actually the best score of the three so far. And I really like the new masks. Every movie creates new masks that these Purgers are wearing, and in this one, it's the best. I like these new masks. Like they light up and shit. Thought that stuff was cool. It doesn't really last long. These characters that wear these masks, they just get kind of picked off very quickly. Was not expecting that. I thought these masked killers were going to play a bit of a bigger role here because they're on the promotional posters and trailers. They're very just like they're the selling point. It seems like they're on all the posters. I thought these people were gonna be main characters, but they're not. Main antagonists. But like their masks. So and then this one's also a bit more silly, and I like some of the silliness of the movie. It's also very much more bloody and violent than the other two. We actually got like guillotines being set up, and I like a couple of little things they throw in here, like the idea of tourists, all these foreigners coming over to take advantage of Purge Night, which I think is fucked up, but not that much of a stretch. I think that would actually happen. Um, I like going back to silly things. The cars with all the like Christmas lights somehow lighting up on them. That was a cool visual, and I want that car. And I really like the characters overall, like the protagonists in this film. There's not one that bugged me like in the other two movies. In the first one, you had the son, and the second one, you had the daughter who just kept nagging Frank the entire film. There's no annoying protagonist in this film, so it's got that going for it. So the characters overall, I like. So getting into the negatives, though, um, the the senator in this movie, the one that is being protected by Frank, she just, I wish they would have given her kind of a shining moment, a moment to like stand up for herself. She really doesn't do anything to protect herself. She's just constantly a damsel in distress the entire film, and I wish that she would have did more. You know, the villains in this movie are a little over the top, just kind of like the first movie with that guy, the main one with his dialogue and his acting, like just over the top in this movie. There's some forced bad guy dialogue in this movie, the politician in the opening, and then these girls that just want candy bars. Like, it's a little over the top. It's a little too silly. So, and I also have a issue with the timeline here. It makes no sense. How is this over 18 years later, but Frank Grillo, he looks exactly the same, and so does the homeless guy from part one, who was in part two also. Like, he's back in here, and they both look like they haven't aged a day. So it makes no sense. I don't know why they had to make it 18 years later. It doesn't make sense. So explain that to me. So outside of that, final thoughts. If you like the second one, I think you'll like this one. I'm still not a huge fan of this franchise. I'm just lukewarm on it. They're somewhat enjoyable, but it's not a genre of horror that I like. Action horror. I mean, it's just this franchise is way more action than horror, and the action set pieces aren't really all that impressive. It's just like basic gunfire shit. There's not a lot of like fist fights, although this one actually does have a fist fight scene, which makes it stand out from part two. I don't think part two had any brawls in it. This one does for a brief moment, but it's nothing like ultra impressive. It's just an okay slasher action movie that's got some horror elements, mainly just the plot. I think the plot is still terrifying, and I don't think it would ever happen. But yeah, it's if you like part two, you'll like this one. So when it comes to the Purge Election Year, consider streaming it, borrowing it from a friend, or renting it at Redbox. All right, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You've been warned. This opening, I didn't really care for it. We got this weird guy in this awful silly mask. I did not like the mask in this opening. It's the one bad mask in it. It just is too goofy. He's got this Purge playlist, and it's just really ridiculous, that mask. Ugh. And then it's like 18 years later. Okay, so what year is it? And this is the only one that I know of that doesn't tell you what year it is. Part one, it was like, it's 2022. Then the second one said it was 2023. And they said that the first Purge started in like 2018. So 18 years later, this has to be in the 2030s. And Frank Grillo's character in part two, he that was set in 2023. So this is like over like a decade from after part two, but he looks the same age. Like, I don't get that at all. So then we're introduced to all these evil politicians, and just the dialogue is just very forced. It's so over the top. Like, politicians don't usually talk like this. They're usually well spoken, they're educated, they don't go around going, how are we gonna get rid of this cunt? And fuck, fuck, fuck. Like, he was just cussing up a storm, cussing like a sailor. Just like, Jesus Christ, buddy. Simmer down. And then we got George from Final Destination 4, or just The Final Destination. We also got the cop from Upgrade in here. And so then they revoke the rule for, not being allowed to kill politicians. Now you can kill anybody, and they get rid of that rule just for this one time because they want to get rid of this, senator running for president because she's a threat to them. So yeah, and then we find out about all these murder tourists, which I thought was just an interesting thing to throw in here. Another thing they throw in here is the idea of Purge Insurance, which makes sense. That would be a thing if the Purge was a thing. Like, regular insurance isn't going to cover this shit that was caused by this holiday. So just like, flood insurance or, this insurance, you got to get the Purge Insurance. And of course, they're jacking up the rates the night before, so he's got to stay behind and protect the store on his own because he can't depend on the government and the Purge Insurance people. And so we see these little shits in the store trying to steal candy bars, and the girls, and they know that they're stealing because they have surveillance cameras pointed right at them. And the girl's like, I'll scream rape if you try to make me put the candy bar back. And the dude kind of, it quickly cuts away to what's-her-face coming up and saving the day. But it seemed like at first that he was kind of like, oh shit, you got me. It's like, no, she doesn't. There's a camera right there that you could show the police and be like, look, she just stole candy. Her rape story doesn't hold water. Because it's like, really? I mean, and then later on, they come back and they're just in front of the store and they won't just shoot them. They won't shoot them. I mean, the one guy shoots her ear on purpose, like that was a warning shot. Why not just kill them? You know what their intentions are. They're going to fuck your world up if you let them. Just shoot them in the face. Why prolong this? It's just ridiculous. And then Hodge, the actor from part 1 and 2, the homeless guy in the first one, he's back in this one. We see him on the TV, and then he comes back later on. And then this dude just kind of pops up. He looks like a zombie. He's acting like a zombie, and all of a sudden an arrow hits him in the head. What was up with that guy? He looked like a legit zombie, the way he was acting. And then the guillotine, that was awesome. Finally, some gore and some horror shit in here. Just this random guillotine in the alleyway, chopping off people's heads. It's like they're just picking up victims and chopping their heads off. And then we find out that there's this service just going around picking up dead bodies and throwing them on the back of a flat truck and just like making announcements like, we're here to collect the dead bodies during Purge. Why not afterwards? Like, you could get shot and killed too as you're collecting bodies, and then you'll just be another body on the back of the truck. I don't understand why they would be doing that during Purge instead of just after Purge. Collect bodies afterwards. And then the girl from Upgrade, we find out that she's driving around the city, like, triage, collecting people and getting them to, a medic, and just being a very good citizen. So I like that character, and she's a very good person. And so then these evil Powerpuff Girls, these little bitches, they come back to the store to steal candy and kill the owner because he made her put the candy bar back. And she says that she killed her mom and dad also. So she's the evil little shit. And I mean, I guess it's believable how crazy these girls are. They grew up with the Purge. Like, this is over 18 years later. These girls look like they're probably 15, 16. So their whole life has been the Purge. Every year, they've never lived a single year of their life without the Purge existing. So that's what the next generation would look and act like if they just grew up with this evil holiday every year. So then I like that Frank Grillo, his character, he was smart enough to have this secret escape route because he didn't know who to trust. And that's very obvious. I mean, they don't treat it like a big reveal or anything, thank God, because it's obvious. There's a mole. Someone planted in there that's going to rat out the position of where the senator is. But it was smart that he had like this secret hatch in the ground that they could go through, and they shoot a tracking bullet in him, and he like gets it out himself instead of just letting the nurse right there, like the girl from Upgrade. I wish I wrote her name down. But the Upgrade girl, she could have gotten that bullet out for him. That's like her job, right? But he's like, I'm going to do it myself. And, that's kind of a tropey action movie thing. There's always a tracer hidden on somebody, and you just got to find it. But yeah, the twinkle light cars, awesome. And they're all wearing these, like animal outfits and shit, and they got, like, these saws, and they're trying to get in. Man, and they get ran over so brutally. Like, you think that they're actually going to, like, make it in there and start fucking shit up, but no, they get ran down by this Upgrade girl. I'm going to keep calling her that. She just mows them down, runs them over. One goes under the wheels and just gets fucked up, and then the other one flies off, and then she walks up to that one who's still clinging on to life somehow. She would be dead. And then just blasts a hole right in her face. All on camera, no cutaway and cut back, like, just obviously, CGI, but it looked good. It was very well executed, so that was awesome. Big old hole in her stupid face. And then I like the idea of drones being used here. It's very quick. It's just one scene, but the idea of people on Purge night using drones to, like, find people to pick off, and just, I thought that was interesting to put in here. And So then we meet the people from the poster, the Lady Liberty and Uncle Sam, and I like the way they look, their masks, very creepy. I just watched Uncle Sam from 1995 recently. Terrible movie, but just kind of reminded me of that. And they're Russians, they're speaking Russian. So I thought that was interesting. Like, they're trying to take out the woman running for president, and then in 2016, after the election, everyone was acting like it was the Russians that took out Hillary Clinton. And that's who this really is supposed to be, right? I mean, if I'm trying to like find the subtext here or whatever, this woman is supposed to be Hillary Clinton, right? She's nowhere near as old, but she's blonde and she's supposed to be Hillary, right? And the Russians are about to take her out. But whatever. But I like that she finds out that the resistance is going to try to take out her opponents while her opponents are trying to take her out on Purge night. But she's like, no, I can win fair and square. I'm not going to cheat. I wish more politicians thought that way. And so why is it that creeps in these movies are always dancing? In the first one, they're dancing around the backyard. And in this one, they're dancing, like fucking like square dancing and shit. It's like, they're crazy when they just start dancing randomly with no music playing. Then, like, Frank Grillo, when they get to that, like, triage place, the underground medic place, he just, like, leaves her alone next to some stranger. Like, you can't trust these people fully. Like, come on, you should still have an eye out on, like, he leaves her alone. Like, he goes to, like, investigate some room. It's like, dude, you shouldn't leave a fucking senator running for president alone down here. One of these people that are being treated might not like her. So just leaving her alone for a minute is stupid. What else? We get another like saved at the last second thing here. They capture the senator. They're about to kill her, and of course, she's gonna get saved at the last second. They did that like 5 times in the first movie. And the crazy pale priest, like, why is he so pale? He looks like a vampire. He's like stabbing the dude. Like, why wouldn't they make her the first person they kill? Like this one guy who's getting stabbed by the priest, they're like, this is our first purge of the night. And they're like already, it's like, what time is it at this point? It's like well halfway past the night. And they're just now starting to kill people. And they got like a whole room of victims waiting. Very fucked up. But they're going to save the politician for the second victim, like make her the second one. Like, why wouldn't she be the first one or the last one? Save the best for last. Like, she would either be the first one or the last one. So her being saved for second is just plot convenience so that they can come in time and save her, blah blah blah. A tropey thing here. It's in so many movies, the whole like, you're better than them, like, if you do this you're no better than them. Like, I can't stand it. Like, shut up. All right. They did that in part 2 also, with the annoying nagging girl talking to Frank. Like, you're better than this. Don't kill the guy who ran over your son. You're better than this. Like, no. And I love that he's like, I'm not as PC as the senator. And he like hits him in the balls with a gun. Like, yeah. And then the election is in May. Usually it's November. It's always been November as long as I remember. Like, isn't always in November, but I guess in the future, the election's going to be in May. Joe, the store owner guy, he dies. That's, the sad moment of the movie, the tearjerker. But when they show that photo of him in the deli or store or whatever, it clearly just looks like a still image of him from the movie. He's not looking at the camera. He's not smiling. He just looks like they caught him in the middle of some moment, random moment. Just like quick, took a snap of him when he wasn't even looking or realized what was going on. Like, that was a bad photo. So this is realistic. After she wins the election, right after it's announced on TV, we hear of like all these riots going on. Sound familiar? 2016, 2020. Every election, there's always riots and just dumbasses out there. And also Bishop, the guy from part 1 and 2, he dies also in this movie. So this movie took risks. They killed off characters from the other movies that we loved. So I like that about this movie too. It kills some people. But yeah, that's really about it. That's all my thoughts on it. What did you think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. Is it your favorite of the 4, now 5 movies? Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.